Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our old listeners, our returning listeners, and our new listeners. Always so happy to have you, no matter where you find us, on your YouTube, or you might find us right here live every week in the 90 other outlets. Make sure you check it out at Transformation Talk Radio. I am so excited today. I've been chanting all day. It's kind of crazy. If you've been looking at what's going on in the world, you know there's a lot of shifting happening, and it's not about politics. Please stop not liking your neighbors over whatever their viewpoint is. It is about waking up, and it is about letting go of the old ways so you can start to see the truth of what's been happening. Manipulation in banking and politics and business, it's been going on for a long time. So it's really time to change. So I've been sitting there going, you know what? God is great all the time. God is amazing all the time. And it's not just part-time, it's all the time. And it's the God of your understanding, which I always say is love. It's the energy of beauty and love. And this is a place you got to remember. And today we're actually going to be talking a lot about business and coming from love. And a lot of you, if you've been in my Miraculous Academy or Evolutionary Academy, you hear me talk a lot about business. You hear me talk a lot about finance. I sold my first company in 1996, yes, when I was 1 year old, and it was to a publicly traded company, which is in Canada, one of our top companies, Rogers Communication. From there, I started to understand the masculine way of doing business. That was the masculine way, and we're starting to see the feminine way and love of what's happening. You know, it's interesting. You all know I'm a Yoda fan. People watching, we always have Yoda on here. And there was this quote that kept jumping out today. It's like, Luke, you're going to find that many of the truths we cling to depend greatly on your own point of view. And it was so important for what we're going to talk today with our guests about. And why? Because you got to get ready to change your point of view, how you work, and how you're going to structure your business. So I am so thrilled that we have Kelsey with us today, because we're going to talk all about, she gets it, love. And when we met, we had this great conversation around running your business from love. You all know I run my business intuitively. She does the same thing. As a high performance energy coach, I found that the old way didn't work. So we're going to give you some tips today. We're going to talk to you today about how you can make some changes, what you can do even with that love vibe in your social media, and how you can up your game with business. Because if you're trying to do it the way you're seeing it been run for a long time, you're going to run into a lot of pitfalls when it enters into 2021. Kelsey, I'm so happy you joined us today. I'm so thrilled that you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you, Tracy.
I got chills. Like I was like been in chills, goosebumps all day, because you and I connected through some different groups, and, you know, really learning. What we really came together with was running from a very masculine point of view. And although you work with so many people with social media and marketing, entrepreneurs don't know where to go. You and I had this great conversation because we were realizing that a lot of people are still running their businesses, and we're like kind of ahead of the party. Like next year it'll get going. What do you find when somebody's like, when they're coming to you? Because you and I, we found this, we're like, they're missing this heart-centered connection. They're missing it. What do you notice is their biggest stumbling block? Because people are struggling with this right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think in a world where everyone is looking for the answer or the quick fix, and many people we're used to and we're taught to look outside of ourselves for the answer to all of our problems in life, in business, and in every other area. But what I've realized is that we need to come back home to our inner entrepreneur, our inner visionary, the person who we know we are before the world told us who to become. And for me, that really looked like going through many years of building my business by following other people's processes and other people's frameworks and feeling like I had to look outside of myself for the answer. And as I'm sure many of your listeners know, as soon as you open up Facebook or Instagram or you open an email, everybody's trying to sell you a 10-step process to success or growth. But here's the thing. That's their process for success. That's the framework that they created because it worked for them. And then when you try to apply it to your own life, or when you try to use their framework to grow your business, and if you mess up on one little thing because it's not in alignment with you, or because you didn't want to send that email to your prospects or whatever they told you. So if you have that little mess up, the framework doesn't work, and then you think that you've done it all wrong. But what you've actually missed is coming home to the fact that the answers are already inside of you. And by tuning inwards and really understanding, like, well, what would I have done in this situation? Where is the most logical place to reach my dream clients, or to reconnect with my health? When you sit there and think about it, you already know. You don't need somebody else's process. And that is a very, what I would call a masculine way of living life, is assuming that somebody can dictate the answers and the journey to you. Whereas when you start to tune back in, you have the process, and you can't mess up when you're going through your own framework.
I love you said that. A few things I love that you said is coming from like selling the company, and then I moved into other businesses and then into alternative investing, and big on business plans, right? Like, I have a business plan, gotta know. And so I got really good at business plans. And when I opened this space, I was like, no business plans. We're running on this very intuitive way of being. And I love what you said about looking at a process, because I see this a lot with people, is if they don't follow all the steps, or like you said, they don't feel like doing what it doesn't feel right for some reason, rather than looking, they shame themselves and they beat themselves up. And okay, it didn't work for me because I missed that one step. Whereas our businesses should be a flow. It's like a baby, right? It's a life force energy. It's a, I was drinking out of my little baby Yoda cup here because I love it. Everybody knows I'm like, Yoda. Yeah, he's eating the babies. Yeah, that's what he did last week. But off topic. But, it's when you look at this life force energy, and this is why I like using this, there isn't any wrong. And that's what I love about what you said, because I think that's where people get stuck. When I see people, and I'd love your opinion on this, because I always see when people's businesses aren't growing or they're stuck, it's because they're so stuck on this idea of what it should look like, how it should look like now, rather than focusing on just with their heart and just being real. And so one, what you see, I'd love your opinion on that. And the other one you said too, which I don't know how many people get kind of social media, and this is your expertise, but how many times people open up social media, and I see it a lot where people are, and I have clients like this, so they'll know who they are, but they have one brand out there, but behind the scene, so it looks all shiny, it looks all wonderful, it looks all great, but they're struggling financially or emotionally or mentally. And so they're not congruent. And if they're not congruent, we got a problem going on. So what is your thought take on that? Because that's your space. That's what you do.
Yeah. Let's kind of start on that social media topic, because if any of your listeners are business owners, I'm sure they are having this inner dialogue on, am I doing social media right? How could I use it better? How can I connect with my clients by using platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn? And what I really want to start on with that topic is that you do not need to show up all of the places, because at this point in 2020, where we are today, there are so many different avenues and so many different platforms where you have the option of connecting with your dream client. So we first need to go back to, where are your dream customers hanging out, so that we can show up there and show up there in a stronger way. I think if we try to spread ourselves too thin, that's when things become overwhelming and we start posting just to post, or talking to the camera just to talk. So super, super important to simplify the amount of platforms that you feel like you need to be showing up on. And if social media is not in your cards, that is okay. There are so many other ways to connect with people. But with social media,
right there, I don't want to cut you off, but you said something really cool. Is it true, and I don't want to miss this point, is it true then, by just in your experience with the people you work with, if you focus on one or two platforms, you can also nurture your clients better and show up in that heart space better?
absolutely, because our energy is finite. And if you try to be all things to all platforms, it's just going to dilute your message. And I'm assuming there is a resistance to some platforms, so you shouldn't be on those to begin with. If you feel like you have to be in this creation cycle, people see right through that in your content. And now more than ever, we are looking for people who are the same on social media as they are in real life. The fake, overly curated photos don't work anymore. The, the fancy, glamorous things that people were once posting to garner interest and attention. Now the typical user sees that and is like, okay, so my radar is going off. This person doesn't seem to be in alignment. People want the real you. They want the most expressed version of yourself. They want the behind the scenes of your life, who you are as a human being, not just as a business owner. And yes, we can have fancy content strategies, but what about just sharing more about what lights you up, what brings you joy, creating conversation with the people who are already tuned in and nurturing a deeper relationship with them, rather than trying to go out and find millions and millions of followers. Just focus on who you have and focus on how you can create a better conversation by being more of yourself.
I love it. You said two really important things there. And one thing that I still look at sometimes, obviously we all have private parts of our life, and you were talking, so one, the first thing I want to ask you is, you were saying like behind the scenes of your life, and I get that. And what do you see? Because you want to share and you want to say, this is my life, but how does somebody listening, what do you tell your clients? Like, how is somebody listening say, how much is too much? Because you want to have privacy. And we know that the way, look at online right now, like let's look in the States, like, oh my God, you've never seen so many people hate on each other over political points of view. And so people are afraid to also share, and not just on politics. I'm talking everything, because this is just about a paradigm shift. But, how does somebody, when they come to you, how do you draw that line? How do you say, how can I leave some things private? Because I'll tell you, I get people that will say, well, how can we never see your boyfriend on everything? And I'm like, well, because it's my very private space and he's very private, and it pisses people off. I don't care, but for new people, they may care. What's your thought process on that when you're working with people?
I think it's certainly, it's a fine line between what your comfort zone is with sharing your life. At this point, I no longer really love filming Instagram stories, for example, to promote my business. I don't love bringing people into my kitchen, into my relationship with my husband, into the time I spend traveling or with my family. However, I have made a strategic operational choice to share more of my life, because that is what people are loving. And when I think about, this is just personally for me, it's going to be different for you and all your listeners, but when I think about where my clients actually come from, 33%, when I think of all the people that I've worked with over the last 5 years, 33% have come from Instagram. They found me on Instagram. And again, this is going to look different for everyone. So I want all of you listening to think, where are your clients finding you? And then you need to ask yourself, how am I going to show up better in those areas? So maybe for you, it's at the local community center, at the library, people find you. Maybe it's for you, it's on your website because you have an amazing blog. In my case, it's social media. And so I treat my social media as a business. I'm logging on there to create content for the betterment of my brand, because I know that in an industry like mine of selling online courses and as a coach, people want to get to know me as a human being. And for that reason, I've opened up different portals of my life and I take them behind the scenes, even though I would rather just not have my phone around. But that is the decision I have made. There are certainly boundaries because, I don't want to live with my iPhone glued to my hand. But I also know that if I want to reach more people, impact more lives, and really help people with my offerings, that is the place where they are now seeking out new businesses and new ways to spend their money. So that would be kind of my 2 cents on how much is too much. It is sometimes going to come down to a business decision of, hey, if I want to, grow my business and I know my customers hang out in this location, I might have to get over that hurdle of not wanting to share and instead treat it like a task item on your list.
Well, I think too, right? A lot of people with social media, I see this a lot even with my clients, like, I'm so afraid to put myself out there. And I don't want to have like one negative comment can ruin the 50 positive ones. And you're like, I'm coming from my heart. I want people to just see me. And those are trolls. What would you say to someone? Because I'm sure you've seen it in your business.
Yeah.
Or people are like, do I want to keep doing this because I just got hit by a troll? Like there is I know that for me, it was a hurdle event of just going, yeah, okay. But at first I was like that too, So what do you say to those people that say, I want to come, I want to share who I am. I don't feel comfortable because I don't want to get this bad feedback. What do you say to those people listening that's a hurdle for them?
Yeah, I feel that comment and that sentiment because it is hard to want to put yourself out there, but to be so afraid of judgment and so afraid of feedback because you're really kind of like opening the floodgates when you start to share your opinions, your perspective, and when you decide to be a thought leader, to not just be a follower, you're going to be met with resistance and criticism. And not everybody is going to like your ideas. And that is a hard pill to swallow. But if you can adopt the mindset of celebrating the unfollowers, celebrate the people who don't align with your message, because you are not the person, you are not the business that is going to serve all the billion people on this planet. You're probably going to serve 100 or 1,000 or maybe 10,000 customers in your lifetime. So you're really only trying to cater a message to 1,000 people on this earth. And so you're allowed to speak your thought leadership. You're allowed to speak your opinions and your perspectives because you want to attract every single person who has that similar viewpoint, who's going to be like a magnet to what you're saying, who is a true fan of your work and will support you over and over and over again for the rest of your business. And that's tough because we want to be liked. We want to be cheered on by everybody on this planet. We want our family and friends to love us unconditionally. But goodness, it's been a long journey for me to get to this place, but I feel more freedom now than ever that I can just share my business as a form of self-expression. So I no longer hold back the things that are really tugging at my heart because I know that I'm here to serve a message. I'm not here to pretend to be somebody else or to follow everybody else's perspectives, but instead I want to deliver my own, and I want to, pave a new path and shine a light for others to be able to kind of follow in my footsteps too. So it's hard, it's not easy, but it's very liberating to speak from the heart.
It is. I love what you said there. I started to adopt this mantra, I guess, and it's really worked for me over the time. And I would just like, well, that's not my client, and I really when you get clear on the kind of people you want to work with and you understand, like for me, I like to work with people that are constantly wanting to push themselves and better themselves and have new perspectives and be that change in the world that, and be in that love space. And I'm like, well, then that's just not my person. Like you said, when you get there, I love that you said this. It's like, yes, thank God that energy left my space, because that energy can also hold down business, and people don't realize that. Like I've had people, and I'll share something with you because you'll probably notice this more. And for the listeners, where I've had people in my community that say they didn't want to change. They're creating problems all the time. And I kick people out. I do. People are like, what? I'm like, you're just not a fit for us. You're not a fit for me. And people are shocked. They're like, you don't, I'm like, I don't need your business. I know what kind of people I want to deal with. And I want to keep the integrity of my community very strong so that people are constantly lifting up. So, or there's a way that moves them out. Like if they're not in the right space. And every time that happens, every time, those little apples leave, the bad apples leave, and I just say that lightly, they're just not a fit anymore. Yeah. Business literally goes up another 20, 30%. And that's that intuitive thing that I say to people from love. Look, do not take on clients. Do not put up with garbage from people. If they are not your people, love them, send them back to spirit, to God, whatever you want to do. And watch that now you can open a door, because I think people forget that when they keep people that are difficult, it creates a block from the energy to flow to bring in new good clients that you want to spend your time with. And on social media, it's the same way, right? Like it's like if you're getting rid of the bad apples, or you're just blocking, if somebody wants to be a troll, just block them, be done with them and carry on, you're going to open up more energy for your business.
It's so true. I kind of like just had this visual of us as the business owners kind of like walking down the sidewalk with these like big heavy weights that are chained to us. And then also seeing ahead of us that there are hundreds and thousands of people who do want our message, who do want to be positive members of our community. But even with one or two heavy weights behind you, people that are really bringing down the energy of what you do, who feel like a weight on your shoulders, it's only when you cut and release them and say, no, thank you, I am not the business for you, or I'm not the coach for you, that you can sprint forward and finally like take massive action on helping people and accomplishing your vision.
I love you said that. We probably were in the same wavelength this morning, because every 5 days a week, I channel this video for 5 days for my Miraculous Academy. And this morning, I wasn't going to do the video for tomorrow till later. And I heard, no, you got to do it now. And part of what I shared was exactly what you said but it was like climbing a mountain, as if you had like one of those weight belts around you, and there was a dead body hanging on the end of it, and you can't get forward. Like it's very difficult, very difficult. But I also think that with businesses, and even if you don't have a business, it can apply to your career or whatever, that it's so easy to get so comfortable in that weighted space. And then almost like, oh, do I really deserve to have this? Do I deserve to have this, new freedom where things just flow and happen? And you must see a lot of that too, because that weightedness is like, you've been there, I've been there, we've talked about that. It's not a way to run your business. That's just stress.
It's not. And honestly, it's a mindset block for the most part. Cause it's like, well, why are you hanging on to the clients that aren't serving you, or the people who are constantly, sending you rude messages or rude emails? And usually there's some sort of block in the sense that you think you need the money from them, or that, there's some other factor that's keeping you chained. So you really have to work through like, why do I feel this resistance towards cutting that loose? Or even like with social media, like we were talking about, why do I feel resistance to letting Facebook go or letting Instagram go? And when you get a clear answer, like if it's, I think I need that $500 from a client, you can problem solve that and say, no, but if I give them up, then I can go serve people in a bigger, better way and make even more money. So it's really like giving yourself enough time to actually sit with the why. Why is this holding you back? Why do you have this weight around your waist as you're climbing the mountain, or on your back as you're trying to sprint towards a big vision? And as business owners and as people trying to achieve betterment in their life, you do need to spend time sitting and thinking of what you need to do to reach that next level. And it's usually a simple mindset block that you need to problem solve.
Well, and a lot of that too, you have a really good point there. And I see this a lot. I know you see it a lot too, is the financial aspect of the business. And so they're saying, well, I need that little bit, which is a lack mentality, right? Which is a scarcity, that there isn't a million more over here to come in. And that a lot of times, if people are holding on to that financial block, it will block their business. Because if you're saying, well, all my business comes from Instagram or Facebook, well, that should still be fun then. But if you're saying, like you said, I'm going to not have that $500. Well, what if you're missing the 10,000 over here? Like people look at that little bit, and I see this a lot. I've seen this a lot with business people. I love your perspective and I always say never do this. So I'd love your perspective on it, but they'll say, I need this many clients to pay my bills over here. That is a scarcity mentality. They shouldn't even come in the same context. When people tell me that, I'm like, you are in the wrong place. Your business needs to come from your heart. That is how the masculine used to run, right? The politics, the banking, like the things we're seeing around the world right now that are coming. It's like, just grab them all in. It's a greedy, yucky mentality. And this is part of what people need to get with love. It's like, stop equating how many clients you need to pay the bills over here. Like that's the worst thing you could do.
It comes from such a desperate place. And again, if you're tuned into someone's energy when you're being sold to, if they have that desperate, like, I need to get 10 clients. And I always picture it when people say, I need to get more clients, Kelsey. How can I find that? I'm always like, you're not getting clients. Like, that makes me picture you with a net, like going to capture people and saying, gotcha. Like, I love that. Not the right approach. Like, don't run around do not run around with a net hijacking people and saying, gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. You're not trying to get clients. You're trying to show up, deliver a message that is going to transform someone's life, have a product that's going to transform someone's life, and make sure that you showcase the value you offer. And that is how you, quote unquote, get clients. But instead of feeling like you're in that game of gotcha, people see your heart. They see that you eat, sleep, and breathe this message and what you do. And they see that you've gotten results for other people, and the program or the product or the service, it sells itself at that point.
Yes. I love you said that too, because you and I are the same. We never look at my business doesn't work. Your business doesn't work. We had a great conversation on that. And it isn't. We love it. Like, people say to me, oh, you did that on a weekend, or so. I don't care. Like, I'm teaching this Wednesday. I teach Tuesday. I teach Sunday. But it's not, it's for me, it's what I love so much. It's always like play. And I know you're the same way. I have a question though, that I know somebody had asked me, and you're the expert to ask this question. And I struggle with this too sometimes. How do you pick the social media platform for your clients when you're going through? Because like you said, every time somebody sends me, well, there's this one, there's so many. Like, for me, I stay Instagram and Facebook. And then people say, why aren't you on Periscope and Pinterest? I don't even know if they still exist. I can't tell you, because not my space. I'm like, I can just stay with what I can do and manage right now. Hopefully I can find an alternative to, and we have YouTube, but hopefully there's alternatives to those now. But how does someone pick? How do you even know where to go?
Yeah, it's really a simple two-pronged approach to picking which ones to show up on. It's number one, where are your dream clients spending their free time? Do they scroll Google? Do they scroll Pinterest? Do they scroll Twitter? Do they scroll Instagram? You need to take some time to understand their lifestyle habits, right? When they are breastfeeding their baby, for example, are they on Facebook groups for moms? Yeah, they are. If you cater to, the 20-some-year-olds, they're probably on TikTok because they want to be entertained in their free time. Everything feels heavy for them because they're going through teenage emotions. So TikTok is like that fun platform where they spend their time. So again, it's really putting yourself in the shoes of your client. You don't need to guess. You simply need to track the people that you're working with now and the people that you want to be working with, and really tuning into where they spend their time. Where do they respond to marketing messages, right? Do they click off of Instagram ads and purchase things? If so, you better be there. And then the other prong to that is, where do you enjoy showing up? Because again, I can teach you how to sell your services on Instagram, on email marketing, on Twitter. But if you show up to write every email or every tweet with this resistance, I'm going to feel it. And guess what? Nobody's going to buy from you. So yes, like I mentioned earlier, we do need to treat social media like part of a strategic operational choice to grow our business. It's like, am I going to invest time and energy here? Yes. But I really want to make sure you have found a platform where you actually enjoy showing up. So, if that means creating awesome, lengthy emails because you love writing, then that's what you should be doing. You have a gift with words. If you love taking photos of your clients before and afters because you're a hairstylist, be on Instagram because people love visuals on Instagram. There's a platform for everybody. You just need to find which one is more of a self-expression for you and then run with it. People will feel that newfound energy and that joy that you are putting into content creation if you're on the right platform.
So you spend some good time, like obviously you have your own process to help narrow somebody down with that. This is one of the things that I think it's important for people to listen. It's why I wanted you to come on, because there's so much out there. And then, like you said, I like to say, this person is authentic. This person you can go to, and you've really narrowed that down. And I think that's one of the things that I know in getting to know you over the last year, how much stuff has really changed and grown. And one of the things I love about what you do as well, and who you are as a person, is you actually care. And I don't say that just flippantly to people, because as we said, as we're moving to the new energy, you spend time with your clients. You ask them what are they doing and what's important to them. And this is really what sets you apart from a lot of people. And I have to say it's the new way, but it's still very, very rare. And so when someone looks at that process and you're helping them go through that, what does that look like for someone when they say to you, hey, you know what? I don't even know what to do here. How do we even start? Like, what do you even say to someone when they're like coming to you saying, how do I even start?
Mm-hmm. That's a really good question. The first thing that comes to mind for me is reevaluating what it is that you're hoping to deliver to your dream clients. Because when somebody's coming to me saying, I don't even know where to begin, I'm not getting clients, I feel like my marketing strategy is a mess, and everything is basically just chaos right now. I always come back first to, well, what is your signature offering? Like, what is that thing that you're trying to be known for? What have you created or packaged up that gets results for people, or that helps them achieve transformation, to use your words? Because we all have some sort of method or process tucked inside of our brains, right? We all have skills or talents or strengths that we can teach to another human being who maybe doesn't yet have those tools in their toolkit. And so perhaps when people are coming from that place of desperation or everything's a mess, they actually need to go back to the drawing board and say, well, what am I selling here? And if I'm not excited about what it is that I'm sharing with the world, maybe you're a different person now, or you've gone through more transformations, or that was an offer that you created as a different version of yourself. Maybe it's time to update what it is that you are sharing with the world. So repackaging your course or repackaging your services in a way that excites you, in a way that allows you to utilize your gifts and your strengths every single day. Because at that point, that's when you start to get into momentum, when you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know having a business could be this fun. I didn't realize I could share behind the scenes of me making gluten-free bread, and then people would want to, buy a bread making course from me. And you start to get into this like crazy momentum cycle where everything feels joyful and exciting, and you feel like you're living as the most fully self-expressed version of yourself. And that's when things start to feel a little easier, because you're like, yeah, I do want to show up on Instagram because people are loving this behind the scenes footage of my bread. And no, you know what? I'm going to stop building that email list because nobody was responding anyways. I think everything starts with our inspiration. If we, as the business owners, are not inspired by our own products and services, we've got a big problem, because no marketing strategy on this earth will sell an offer that is no longer in alignment with you, or that you are no longer excited about.
Yeah, it's so true. Like people ask, like I do my own clearings. People are like, you do your own clearings? I'm like, yeah, sure I do, because they work. Like they just channel through, and I do my own clearings, no matter what it is, negative clearing, financial clearing, I do my own clearings. And it's weird listening to your own voice. Yes, but I go in a different way. But it's also too, I love what you were talking about, reinventing. I drive my poor people crazy because I'm constantly growing and constantly reinventing.
Yeah.
But you can't be afraid to reinvent yourself on a regular basis, because if you're truly shifting and changing those colors, it's no different our clothes, our hair, whatever, but the colors on maybe your brand needs to change because that's not you. Like I went back 5 years ago and I had this purpley color, and we're creating a new website, and I'm like to the guy, I'm like, no purple, like none. I want no purple. And he would put some purple, and like, okay, we got to back up the energy. And he's doing a beautiful job. I love what he's done and what's launching, but he didn't understand it first because he didn't see that 5 years ago. Right. Yeah. And I'm like, no, that was so 5 years ago. That's stuck in your head. We don't want that. We want to be in our heart. So then when he got it, he was like, whoa, he's just come into this world of magic and just beautiful. But I love you said that, because I think people get into an offer or they get into something and they feel they've created it, so they must keep going. And I had a program, the Effortless Academy, which is 1 video a week. And it really wasn't shifting people the way I thought. I kind of went from it as, we'll try it, sort of price point, you're looking at it. The Miraculous Academy, which was a bigger academy, is like, that's where everybody goes. So I said, I don't want to do this anymore because it's not really serving you and it's not serving me. So I just sent them an email and said, you can come over here, or thank you very much. See you later. Yeah. And people were like, I can't believe you do that. But again, I grew. It's not giving my clients my full attention. And I want to be in a place where I can show up every day for them and be there live with them. And I love you said that, because so many people are so afraid. They created a course. Oh, I spent all that time in there. So maybe you need to tweak it, and maybe it needs to go in the trash. Like maybe you can't use it anymore. Mm-hmm. And it's okay.
Yeah. It like reminds me of the quote, you are not a tree. You are not stuck. That's the same with your business. You can get up and move and shift and evolve. And one of the exercises that I love to guide my clients through, and I don't know if you've ever gone through this before, but is really taking some time to do a meditation. We won't have time to do it today, but to really focus in on what is that one word that you hope everyone feels or hears, or what's that word they see when they interact with your brand. So like say you did a talk on stage. What do you hope somebody would describe that talk as? Say you launched a new apparel line. What would you hope somebody describes it as? So you go through this exercise of kind of thinking like, what is that one word that I want everything in my business to exude? And that might be the word vibrant. That might be the word thoughtful. For me, it's the word visionary. So I have to look at everything in my business with this lens of, is this visionary? And there are times when I've looked at programs or courses and I've said, no, this is not, in my terminology, this is not a visionary program. And so I've had to get rid of it because it no longer serves the big vision and mission of the brand. Or I was working with a client and she wanted her whole brand to be vibrant. Yet every time I got on a Zoom call with her, she was wearing all black and she was sitting against a white wall. And I said, that's not vibrant. Or for a client that said they wanted everything to be thoughtful. And I realized that when I was watching their social media, things were really just like, I filmed this part of my day and then this, and there was no thoughtfulness to the whole story that they were sharing. And so sometimes it's as simple as finding what that word is and then asking yourself, with what you're selling, with what you're creating, does this reflect the word that I've chosen for my business? And if not, either change it or get rid of it, or figure out, where to channel your energy and double down on something else.
I love that. I'll have to bring you into my Miraculous Academy. We'll do something live in there. So all those people listening in there, you will get to hear the meditation if I can get Chelsea to join us. Again, over there.
Absolutely.
I love it, and I think sometimes it changes. Like I know I always I want when people leave to just feel that, love. and know they're loved and they're cared for, and it's just all that love. It's my big space, which is transformation. Yeah. I have a question that I wrote down here when you were talking, that popped in because I hear this a lot. I don't know the answer to it. People a lot of times will say, do I need a social media page and a website, or can I just do it on social media? And I know it's a little bit afraid, but a lot of people now are like, oh, you just need a landing page, and oh, you just need, and I hear this a lot from people. So again, what do you say to those people? Because a lot of people listening, I know a lot of them have their own businesses, and I also know a lot of them listening, and this is why, we're going to encourage them to touch base with you, because you get all this, and I know you and I are going to be talking a lot more on that. It's one of those things, is do they need both, or do they, it's like, oh, landing page, oh, funnels, oh, like, I don't even know. It's so busy right now.
You're right. There are so many things that you could be doing, or that every marketing guru will tell you you should be doing. But the truth of the matter is, you don't need any of these things to have a successful business. However, in this day and age, a website and some presence on social media has kind of become a foundational element of doing business. And why I say that is that, number one, where do we go when we have a question or an inquiry about the world or about business? Most people are going to admit that they go to Google. When you type something into Google, when you're like, I need an electrician in Toronto, Ontario. If you don't have a website, you're not going to be popping up in those Google search results. And so I always recommend have a website and do your best to have some sort of active blog or podcast, or at least updating that website once in a while to improve your organic search results. Because a lot of people find their next service or product through Google. It is inevitable that a lot of your customers hang out there. So why not make the choice to show up for them by having a website? And of course, you could go down the avenue of paid search results and paid SEO, but you could just start with organic by keeping your website updated. The other thing is, nowadays, people are treating Instagram and Facebook like micro websites, right? Because now you can go to Facebook and use the search bar to type in electrician in Toronto, Canada. And the electrician who has the Facebook page set up is going to pop to the top of that Facebook search results. So having a presence, maybe you're not super active, but at least having the foundational pieces of what number to call, what services you offer, and a friendly photo of yourself. Same goes for Instagram. If you know your clients hang out on Instagram, they might be searching things like wedding photographer Toronto. So if you have zero presence on there, you're missing out on a lot of those potential client leads. So it would be in your best interest to get yourself set up on those few social media platforms that you know will contribute to getting more clients. So do you need to have a website and a social media presence? No. But if you're in your second or third or fourth year of business, I would say, what are you waiting for? Get them set up or ask for some help, because at this point, it is kind of just the state of doing business to at least have those channels established.
Yeah, it's true. We were doing a test last night on our website, right? That we were going to launch last week. I have no dates anymore. I'm like, God, whenever it's done. So this weekend is our goal. It's just, you want things to really be fun. So we really did a lot of changing on the back end. And he had typed in, when we were doing a bunch of testing, he typed in, basically, I forget what he typed in, but right away he goes, look at that, because we were changing all the SEO, making sure. Yeah. And right away it came up as Reverend Tracy L. Clark, healer. And I'm like, well, that's never come up before. So it was really cool, like what you're saying, right? He's like, look, you came to the top. And so amazing. Just by moving that, right, and working on that fine tuning. And I don't think people, sometimes they look at what you do and I do, and they think, well, I should be there right away. Well, you and I didn't start here right away. And I think that's a big thing for people to remember, that we've been building in these areas for quite a few years. You've been 5 years. I've been over 7, I think 2015. So it was when, fully incorporated. So I guess 5 years, about the same time, 6 years. And I didn't really do a lot of I was just kind of before that, building it, but very different. But when I really took it serious, so I think also people need to remember that when they're looking at people on social media and they're looking at people in their businesses now, they can't forget that we have been doing this day in and day out for many years now. It didn't just happen overnight. Because I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, I started my business like 90 days ago and I'm not making the money I thought I would make. And I'm like, it's only been 90 days. It's like we got to water your little seeds. The seeds got to sprout. The seeds got to grow to the flower, whatever your garden. It takes time. What do you say to people like that? Because I hear that one a lot too.
Absolutely. And I really do think consistency always wins. It reminds me of a book that I tell all of my clients and students to read called The Slight Edge. And it really talks about this basic concept that little things that you do over time eventually compound into massive momentum. And though you can't see it at the time, doing that daily walk each day eventually compounds into you being able to walk all day without pain, or writing that daily Instagram post eventually leads you into having a massive social media following and a group of really engaged clients. So the slight edge approach is how I live my entire life. It's not about having quick successes. It's not about experiencing massive growth. It's about doing those consistent daily actions that will compound. And the truest testament I have to that is, first off, I have never paid somebody to put me to the top of Google search. So I personally have just never gotten to the point of investing money into paid search traffic. However, for the past 3 years, I have produced one weekly podcast episode. And for you guys who are listening, it might be a weekly blog, it might be a weekly YouTube video, it might be a weekly, summary of your findings on the internet. So I did a once weekly blog post that had the podcast show notes. And because of that, because my podcasts talk about business and marketing, just 1.5 years later, I come up as the top search result when you search online marketing coach. So after 1.5 years of doing that, I was top organic search result. Now, 3 years later, I'm still the leading result there. And that's not because I paid anyone. It's just because I showed up and created content on a consistent basis. And, anybody can take that and reflect it into their business. I am no different than you. I am not an expert podcast host, an expert at keywords. I just kept showing up and producing something that I thought was valuable for my dream clients. And that really does impact your business over time.
I love that. I know we are almost at the top of the hour, so we're going to be running out of time. We went so fast. So, okay. Tell them where to find your podcast, because guys, you're going to see me over there too. And I want you to really go and listen to her podcast, because when you really want these tips and little things that you can do, I really want you to go listen. Yes, we're going to have some fun too, but where can they find your podcast? Where can they find you? So we'll start there.
Yeah. So the best place to search the podcast is on any podcast app of choice. Just type in Visionary Life. And the show really focuses on having conversations of how we can live our most visionary life, that life that you only thought you dreamed of. And a lot of that is in starting a business or growing your business. So we have great conversations on there. The other best place to find me, I love Instagram. I shared that with you all today. So find me on Instagram. I'm at Kelsey Reidl, KelseyReidl.
I love it. I love it. It's been such a pleasure. What do you have to leave with people listening now or listening later, or whoever they're going to find us? What would you like to leave them with for your food for thought for the day?
Great question. I'm actually just in the process of having a print made for my new office here, and it says, "You already know." Because I really believe that we do have all of the answers. And especially when it comes to growing our business, it's too easy to look outside of yourself for everybody else's formula. but you already know. You know where the dream clients are. You know what to price your offer at. You know where you need to be improving your marketing. You know how to talk to them in a way they understand. So I come back to that anytime I'm feeling stuck or anytime I'm tempted to buy a new online course, and the answer always comes. You have it inside of you.
You know, I absolutely love that message because it's true. I always say that too. Everything is already there. It's like, it just got buried under a landslide or an avalanche. And then you started to think that maybe I don't. And you and I have that same process and vision that we really want people. And I know you do it. I do it. We work with them and coach them so they can keep going in and finding the answers. And I think that's what really makes us different from a lot of people. We're not trying to give them the answer. We don't do that. No. We show them and teach our people that in our communities that it is inside and that it's good to just be empowered. And I love you do that too. We're all about that empowerment and that space of making sure they walk away. And one of the things I love about listening to you and getting to know you over time is you do that too. And I know it's so important in this new way of running a business from love has to come from your own empowerment. Stop drinking the Kool-Aid. Stop looking outside yourself. Stop getting out of this male energy that they all know the best of the world, because you're going to start to see over the next year all of these truths coming out, and it's going to blow your mind because you're going to go, I already knew that, but I didn't know how to take action. So I can't thank you enough for coming today. And I really hope you'll join our Miraculous Academy to teach them maybe for an hour. I'll talk to you off air on that, your visionary meditation and some other info if you would love to join us. I will.
Absolutely.
You're just a delight. Like I said, I'm so honored that Spirit put our paths together, and in a way that, we both were moving on to different things, but we found each other and were able to stay. So thank you again. I know we'll have you on again because I'm sure we're going to be flooded with questions. So
thank you, Tracy. I love being here and can't wait to come back.
Yeah, it went so fast, as always. So thank you to everyone today that tuned in every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time, right here on Transformation Talk Radio. Also, go to tracylclark.com because we have our annual Christmas Give Back coming on December 10th. So you don't want to miss that announcement. It's where we help all of our families in need. It's our 6th annual one, even though we help communities and families throughout the year. And then also with the book, coming out eventually here. We got many delays, as you know. The book club will be announced there too, which starts in the 3rd week of January. So you'll want to make sure you get your copy and come along to the free book club ride and have an incredible time with us. So you can put your name into the email list and we will make sure you're first to know. And then you'll also find there where to sign up for the book club. So you'll get notifications. It's going to run for 4 weeks every Tuesday. I think it's the 19th, but don't quote me. I don't have a calendar in front of me, but we'll really start to have some good conversations together, go through the book together and have a lot of fun. So it is almost middle November. So go and do something fun this week that lights up your life, that brings joy. And please, if I can leave you with something today, do not get caught up in what you're seeing on mainstream media. Trust this is the time of change into the truth. And for the truth to come out, it may rattle you, but stay connected to the God of your understanding. Because I said at the opening of the show, God is always good and God is always great. And that energy of love will keep you focused, centered, and building what you want to build. So have an incredible week, and I will see you next Tuesday. Thank you for listening to the Tracy L. Clark Show with me, Tracy L., where I teach you how to connect to the God consciousness so you can unlock your superpowers and connect at light speed and live your extraordinary life. Tune in every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio, where together we will unlock the secrets of your body and your life. As the founder of the Body Regeneration Academy, I, Tracy L., will provide you with the insight and simple tools you can apply right now in your life to move you forward and leave the past in the dust. To join the Body Regeneration TLC Online Academy, make sure you check me out at tracylclark.com.